Yeah, you can put it on for free.
Yeah, I think that's what I did for my writing. It is minutes. Okay, President Chin, we're all set.
Good morning. This is Kat Chin, Board President of the Oregon Board of Pharmacy. I will now call this meeting of the Oregon Board of Pharmacy to order. Today is Wednesday, 30 a.m. Board of Pharmacy meetings are conducted in accordance with the Oregon Public Meetings Law. Under the Public Meetings Law, governing body meetings are open to the public except as otherwise provided by law. The presiding officer has the authority to keep order and to impose any reasonable restrictions necessary for the efficient and orderly conduct of a meeting. Governing bodies are authorized by ORS 192.660 to meet in executive session in certain limited situations, including the consideration of information obtained by Health Regulatory Board as part of the investigation of a licensee or applicant conduct. All official actions by board must be taken by public vote, and vote of each member must be recorded. Mission. The Oregon Board of Pharmacy serves to promote and protect public health, safety, and welfare by ensuring high standards in the practice of pharmacy and through effective regulation of the manufacture and distribution of drugs. Oregon Board of Pharmacy is also committed to diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, DEIB, within its organization and for the public it serves. This commitment is reflected in board membership, agency staffing, and the services provided in its efforts to promote patient safety and ensure access to quality pharmacy care. The board encourages review of its full 2024-2026 DEIB plan on the board website. I will now call roll for board and staff. For the record, when I call your name, please verbally acknowledge here. Board President Kat Chin, here. Board Vice President Rich Joyce, here. Board Member Shannon Beeman, here. Board Member Jennifer Hall, here. Board Member Rosemary Hemmons is excused. Board Member Amy Kirkbride, here. Board Member Victoria Kroger, here. Board Member Priyal Patel, here. Board Member Ana Pinedo,
here.
thank you. Chief Compliance Officer Joe Ball,
Here.
Strategic Initiatives Manager Chelsea Dasher,
Here.
Compliance Director Brian Efremov,
Here.
Compliance Officer Cheryl Fox,
Here.
Licensing Director Chrissy Hennigan,
Here.
Interim Executive Director Rosa Klein, here. Compliance Assistant Kay Klingberg,
Here.
Compliance Officer Jane Lee,
Here.
Compliance Assistant Serena Ma,
Here.
Operations Manager Rachel Melvin,
Here.
Compliance Officer Brian Murch,
Here.
Compliance Officer Aaron Richmond,
Here.
Pharmacist Consultant Gary Runyon,
Here.
Chief Financial and Administrative Officer Shisi Selton Flores, Board Counsel Angela Hunt, here. Wonderful. Public comment information. Public comment will occur toward the end of the meeting on 12/12. The board will not deliberate any issues or request public comment such as formal requests to issues currently under investigations, requests pending before the board, or currently proposed rules. Public comment is limited to matters that were noticed on the board meeting agenda, and comments will not be allowed that are longer than the time allotted by the chair. To sign up to provide public comment, email your request to pharmacy.board@bop.oregon.gov by noon 12/12/2024. Keeping an etiquette. It's extremely important that board members speak directly into the microphone to capture all statements for the record. In order to complete board meeting agenda items in both executive and open session, each board member has 3 minutes to provide comments. Board and agency staff, identify yourself as board or agency staff member, last name each time you speak. Speak one at a time and raise your hand when you have a question or comment, and silence all devices. As a special note, if I don't see your hand, please just verbally acknowledge that your hand is up. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and retained for public record keeping purposes. The board will meet in executive session for most of the day and anticipates resuming open session between 4 and 5 p.m. We will now review the board meeting agenda and ask each board member to provide any proposed revisions to the meeting agenda. For President Chin, no revisions. Board Vice President Joyce.
No revisions.
Board Member Beeman.
No revisions.
Board Member Hall. No. Board Member Kirkbride.
No revisions.
Board Member Kroger.
No revisions.
Board Member Patel.
Board Member Patel. I have 2 things to revise, or maybe I need more clarification. And number 1 is for 2025 board meeting. It's a 3 days meeting, but I want to know how long in advance we would know whether it's a 2 days or 3 days meeting, or is it going to be like 5 days before or 3 days before? That now we have 3 days, not 2 days versus vice versa. The reason behind that, it's not like what I sign up for, it's not because what I volunteer for, but it's not because I didn't know. It's because I want consistency, I want clear communication, so I can plan according to my work schedule, my patient schedule, because I schedule my patient like 6 months, a year in advance. Like I can tell them like, now I can do it or I can.
If noted, and to my knowledge, every board meeting that we voted on last meeting was a 3-day board meeting,
It's going to be consistently
consistently through 2025.
every day, because my understanding was it's a 2-day meeting and the 3rd day we add for the room purpose. Did I not understand? Because I revised like what we signed up for, right? That is my understanding. That we,
I don't recall what you signed up for. I did sign up, but they were.
no, we board member decided it's going to be 2 days. When the board member Beeman said it's better to have so we can have a room. But then there is a chance that you can have 2 days or you can have 3 days. That is my understanding. And I read the record. Did I not understand right? It is going to be 3-day meeting no matter what, whether we have cases or whether we don't have cases. I'm asking you, board member, for clarification. That is my understanding.
Member Kirkbride, point of order. So I believe right now we're offering revisions to the agenda, and this board meeting schedule is on the agenda so that we could discuss this later. Is that correct, President Chin? That the board meeting schedule is on the agenda, or do we need to add this for discussion?
Don't think we need to add it for discussion. It is posted on here what the 3-day agendas are, and it's posted as 3-day agendas all through 2025. So I'm not sure what the question is. No, there has been no change.
It's going to be 3 days meeting in December 2025. Thank you. My second point is what happened last meeting in November for executive improvement process.
And I don't believe that's a revision to the meeting agenda either.
So we can talk about that later because I need some clarification.
And we
We
can,
can do in the executive session, we can do in the public session, I'm fine with it. But I just want to make sure that I need some clarification on executive recruitment process, because as we know, initially that meeting was 2 hours, then 4 hours, and it's happened to be whole day long, and I have to link meeting because of, I didn't know it is a whole day meeting.
this is not part of the revision of the agenda. And I will speak to board staff about if we're going to have that discussion. And for the
Okay.
record, it was never, ever a 2-hour meeting. We have never posted and never talked about 2-hour meeting on this board. So
It was 2 hours.
in terms of
That's fine.
revising this agenda, are there any revisions to this agenda?
Those are the two revisions.
Well, those are not revisions to the agenda. Those are two issues that you want to talk about. That's not a revision to the agenda.
Okay, so we are not going to be adding the agenda. We cannot add into agenda.
I don't think we have time to add to the agenda today. We're on a 2-day meeting that we all voted on.
Fine, then I think I'm going to oppose agenda. Thank you.
Board Member Pineda,
No changes.
you? Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Move, Vice President Joyce.
Second, Board Member Beeman.
And Board President Chin, yes. Board Vice President Joyce.
Yes.
Board Member Beeman.
Yes.
Board Member Hall. Board Member Kirkbride.
Yes.
Board Member Kroger.
Yes.
Board Member Patel.
Member Patel oppose.
Board Member Pineda.
Yes.
Motion passes with Board Member Patel opposed. Prior to going into executive session, board members must announce if they are recusing themselves from compliance cases. Please state the case numbers and the reason for the recusal, such as bias, direct financial, potential financial, or witness in a case. Board President Chin, no recusals. Board Vice President Joyce.
Point of order, this is Vice President Joyce. I was just wondering why, this decision was made for us as opposed to us, choosing to recuse ourselves. I understand, that, the recusal cases are associated with our place of employment, but that decision was made for us. Yeah, I mean, I was just wondering, typically, historically, we've reviewed the case and seen that there is bias or potential bias, and we recuse ourselves, but just wondering why this decision was made for us to recuse these cases.
What the conversation was that the board had was generally on any case that sort of was associated with your employer, it was just cleaner to just say, that was the discussion that we had. It was just cleaner to say, we're just gonna recuse on any case that has to do with our employer. And so it wasn't like a decision, it was just that they saw that it was your employer, and so they recused you from it.
Right, but I mean, in the past, there have been cases where, someone could have provided constructive discussion or dialogue into the case, and still be employed by, Providence is a huge company that employs tens of thousands of employees. And just to single out, a board member because they work for that company.
I think it wasn't singled out necessarily, it was, but we talked about it, and that's what the direction the board gave to staff was to cross the board. To
Okay.
excuse people.
Staff member, can I just share, I apologize, Board Member Joyce, I remember last meeting I was at, this was 3 meetings ago then. You had mentioned wanting to recuse from Providence cases, so we took that as being more broad than what was intended. And if that wasn't intended to only be that location, where you work as the actual hospital, we can definitely switch that. I apologize if we just took that statement to mean all Providence, because some other board members have shared any of those outlets, depending on what your role is at that entity. So if you would like to clarify that, that would be excellent. Staff is just trying to follow the direction we have received.
Right, I just thought that, maybe, the board member could, see the case and then make that decision, there's potential here for bias. Otherwise, the board member can contribute to the case.
Yeah, I think they were just trying to do what, and like some people's roles, right, like it's different, right, I think for your role, right, it's a little bit different. Like what you do at your job, right, matters, right, difference, like, and so I think they were just trying to like.
Board Member Kroger, I don't want to speak for Board Member Joyce, but I think the issue is that while we've given board staff direction or some of us may have given board staff direction on, this is my employer, these are the cases that I most likely will recuse from. I think the situations are very different based on board members that, if you're working at a larger entity, just because the umbrella entity, that doesn't mean every single case. And I do think that the board members should get to review those cases. I think that's previous agenda, at least for myself, had, here's the cases that are related, and they were all lumped together. So I was like, okay, I didn't even need to go in there, but I do think that each situation should be evaluated differently for each board member, and then confirm that these, like, without being able to view them, to be able to still make that decision. I mean, that's, I think, kind of where you're going.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I work in an inpatient setting. There definitely be cases where I shouldn't be reviewing. But Providence does a whole bunch of different things other than inpatient hospital. So, anybody else want to comment or pitch in?
This is, Board Member Chin, I see no problem with the review and then notifying of a recusal, but I think that board staff just needs direction on what you would like to see moving forward.
I understand there was a bit of a time crunch with this meeting. Also, there was a lot of cases. But I do wish to go back to what we had done previously, is just to have us look at it and then have us make the decision, like, oh, there's no way I can do this case.
The other thing we can do too, right, is look at like, instead of, but sometimes, right, like the hard part is we don't want to necessarily give, if it is something you should be recused, like sometimes you shouldn't have the file, right? Like sometimes, especially like if you're a witness, or like there's certain reasons, right, where we shouldn't give you the file because it just look bad. The other thing too is that one of my other boards does is they send out the names. So they'll send out the names to people and say like, are there any, like looking at these names, is there anybody you need to recuse from? So that's sort of like a way to kind of.
So staff member, I just want to share too, that it is a very tight time crunch to get all the steps we have and to get mailings to the board within 2 weeks ahead of the board meeting. So I think what would be the easiest for us is maybe after this meeting, or whatever executive director and board president Chin think is the best way moving forward, is to reconfirm with each board member what their intention is and their request personally, as it is specific to each board member. I apologize. I thought we were following the direction that each board member had provided us. It seems like we got it a little bit wrong. I apologize, board member Joyce. If we could just get clarity on how you would like it proceeding in the future, that's what we'll do. Does that sound okay? Thank you.
On that note, for this meeting, I do recuse from the following cases: 2023-0455, 2023-0456, 2024-0480, 2024-0713, 2024-0714, 2024-0732, and 2024-0733.
Thank you. Thanks for the conversation. Board Member Beeman,
Member Beeman, no recusals.
Board Member Hall,
Member Hall, I'd like to recuse from case 2024-0093 and 2024-0655 for potential bias.
and Board Member, going back to Board Member Choice, is that potential bias? Just not knowing what
As
those
far as I
are.
know.
Yeah, as far as you know, probably potential bias.
Potential bias, I don't know
Thank you.
if it's financial or what.
Okay. Board Member Kirkbride,
Board member Kirkbride, I am recusing from cases 2024-0734, 2024-0756, and 2024-0820 for potential financial impact.
and Board Member Kroger,
Board Member Kroger, I will recuse from case 2024-055, 2024-056, 2024-0911, 2023-0847, 2023-1113, 2024-0344, 2024-0124, 2024-0125, 2024-0108, 2024-0685, 2024-0729, 2024-0745, 2024-0869, 2024-0398, 2024-0407, 2024-0477, 2024-0512, 2024-05 45, 2024-0546, 2024-0656, 2024-0666, 2024-0721, 2024-0800 for potential financial, and then case 2024-0764 for bias. And I think the concern that I would have that with this process being slightly different is I don't know if these are cases versus outlets or versus individual licensees, and my decision could be potentially different between those two. But I can't see them or review them, so, you know, I feel like the bit of, like, we trust the staff to do the right thing, but it's my decision at the end of the day. So thank you.
Thank you. And Board Member Patel? I think so. Board Member Pinedo?
No recusals.
Thank you. It is now 8:50 a.m. This executive session is held pursuant to ORS 192.660, parent 1, 2, little f, capital L, ORS 192.690, para 1, ORS 676.165, and ORS 676.175, which allows the board to meet in executive session to consider information of records that are exempt from law from public inspection. Representatives from the media and designated staff shall be allowed to attend the executive session. Representatives of the media are specifically directed not to report on any of the deliberations during the executive session except to state the general subject of the session as previously announced. No decision may be made in executive session. At the end of executive session, we will return to open session and welcome the public back into the meeting. Is there a motion to move to enter executive session for the purpose of legal advice, review and discussion of investigations and disciplinary cases at 8:51 a.m.?
Move, Board Member Beeman.
And Board Member Joyce?
Board President Chen, yes. Board Vice President Joyce?
Yes.
Board Member Beeman?
Yes.
Board Member Hall?
Yes.
Board Member Kirkbride?
Yes.
Board Member Kroger?
Yes.
Board Member Patel?
Yes.
Board Member Pinedo?
Board Member Pinedo, yes.
Please wait while staff transitions from open session to executive session.